Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I'm telling you now, this is going to be a percolating morning. I have our great senator with us this morning. And so I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I do it maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Hit that share button and ask her constituency and the rest of the district to come into the room. For those of you that are watching on Twitter, welcome to the Java Cafe. Make sure you hit that like button. And if you're on Facebook, follow and like Java with Jimmy as well. It is an honor and a privilege this morning to be able to speak to our senator. I speak to her often in the community and have over the years. I started to put a collage together and there were a whole lot of pictures. And so without further ado, I would like to bring in our senator, the Honorable Senator Elizabeth Warren, here with us this morning.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Senator. How are you this morning?
I am all the better for seeing you this morning.
I am better for seeing you as well. And Senator, it is Thankful Thursdays in the Java Cafe. And as I say to your colleague often and the mayor, Congresswoman Presley, that you all deal with a lot. And so let's be intentional for about 20 seconds around some gratitude and share some thankfulness this morning, something that you're thankful for this morning.
Now, I'm thankful for a program called Home Base. Congresswoman Presley, Ayanna to me, Ayanna and I were there yesterday along with Senator Markey and Congressman Lynch. We got our first federal funding for this program, and that's why we were there. We were there to celebrate. Sometimes you can get something done. But what I'm thankful for is the work they do. This is the only place in the country that works with veterans, active duty military who have traumatic brain injury, PTSD, mental health issues. About 20 veterans a day commit suicide. And this is a place that not only focuses on trying to help the military member himself or herself, but also to help families. And it's the only one that's doing the outreach. There's a group of women who just graduated from the program last Friday. 10 of them, all of whom lost their spouses to suicide recently. And I say all of this because trauma's in a lot of places, and I don't have to lecture you about that. You know that. This community knows that. Every time we get intentional in talking about it and in saying it's not something we simply have to endure, but it's something we can actually build structures around, both to try to prevent, but when it happens, to have an informed, peer-to-peer, embedded in community response. And that's what's happening at this program, nonprofit program called Home Base, and it's supported by the Red Sox, by Massachusetts General Hospital, by Spalding Rehab, and now by some of your federal dollars that we were celebrating getting some money into this. But I just want to be thankful for every time we try to take a positive step to try to bring healing to those who face trauma.
Yes.
That's what I'm grateful for this morning, because that's really stayed with me from where I was yesterday morning.
Senator, thank you. And we definitely are going to, I'll say we'll come back to this toward the end. You talked about these military folks that have dedicated time to serve this country, for us to have rights. One of those rights is a woman's right to their body.
Yeah.
There is a new committee appointment that you have in reference to some oversight with the military. And when I heard about it, I'm like, how does military committee oversight relate to protecting abortion rights? And so, Senator, please tell us about that committee and the correlation, because it is so important that we do everything in Massachusetts. We can't take for granted. Kind of is okay. Thank God for our attorney general and our governor in place. What is the correlation between that assignment and protecting those that make the choice to have an abortion, and it's their right to their body?
That is a terrific question, Jimmy, and I'm so glad you asked about this. So, you know that we're all assigned to sit on different committees in the Senate, and one of the committees I sit on is Senate Armed Services Committee. And, Armed Services Committee, it's partly about weapons systems and how much money we're putting into weapons. You wouldn't be surprised to know I'm often the only person in the room who votes against the military budget because I just think it's too big. And I'm in there fighting on that every day. But part of our strength as a nation is our people. And part of that are those who serve or those who have served. So now I am the chair, brand new. You got me right at the beginning here.
Oh, you're the chair.
I am now the chair, not of the committee overall, but of the subcommittee
Okay.
on personnel, on the people part.
Okay.
So that's now my responsibility, is to get together, hold hearings, make recommendations for changes that we can make in the law around this. And that brings us to, what does it take to take care of our military? And it's about housing. It's about healthcare. And healthcare means the full range of healthcare. That means whatever it is need. And that's for two reasons. One is because of military readiness. You can't send somebody out if you need them. You can't send them someplace in a trouble spot if they're not healthy. But it's also how you treat individuals morally, and their integrity as human beings, integrity in their bodies, integrity in their ability to decide for themselves how their bodies will be used. And so a part of what I will spend this next 2 years while I'm pushing this subcommittee through and the work through this subcommittee is to make certain that all of our active duty military have access to the full range of healthcare services, including abortion services, regardless of where they live. And if I could throw in one more commercial on this, Jimmy, I have also already been working hard with the Veterans Administration and gotten a commitment from the Veterans Administration that as they provide healthcare for our veterans, that is no longer active duty, that they are going to make certain that access to abortion is available to all of our veterans wherever they live. This is federal law and it controls.
Senator, thank you for that. And thank you for explaining that correlation, because I when I first heard about it and looked at the information, I'm like, okay. And I at first I didn't know whether it would be, protecting those that go to a clinic or anything like that, because, some things happen at
this
the
is
clinic.
service
But
that is due to our service members.
This is for the personnel. And I love how you cited the full spectrum of healthcare. And can we also name the behavioral health and mental health part of that as well? And that's major as well.
Right.
When you talked about getting, go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, you're so right, because that's where we started this when I was talking about home base. I'm trying to get more federal funding. This is something Ayanna has been so strong and a leader in the House. And I'm trying to do the same thing in the Senate. And that is to get parity. You break your leg, by golly, they take you in and they fix it up.
Yep.
You get cancer, God forbid, but you get cancer, you get treatment for as long as it takes on the cancer. But people who have mental health problems, they come in and they're told, come back in 3 weeks.
We got to get an approval from your insurance.
Exactly.
Senator, yes.
Or they say, I'm sorry, you're only entitled to 6 treatments.
Visit.
And now we're done.
I used to do insurance off, Senator. I used to do insurance offs for behavioral health. So I get it.
So a big push for me is I do it through military because that's a committee I'm sitting here on.
Okay.
But we need it everywhere. And I push this over on the HELP committee, health, education, labor, and pensions, all the way through. The law actually says that we're supposed to have parity. But man, you want to talk about how big is the gap between the law and the reality? Bigger than I can reach. And this isn't right. So healthcare is healthcare.
Healthcare is healthcare. One of the other things talking about care, you recently introduced a bill around childcare.
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that? And we'll talk a little bit about canceled student debt as well, something that you and the Congresswoman have worked on as well. And so tell us about the childcare bill, because it is so, it's interesting because on one end of the spectrum, if a woman makes the choice to have an abortion, and then on the other spectrum or the other end of the spectrum, if she goes through and has the child, there are certain rights and access that military moms and dads and non-military moms and dads need around childcare. So tell us what you proposed.
So just let me set the table for you on where we stand right now.
Set the table, preacher.
You bet. We got people all across this country, mostly mamas and daddies, who can't finish their education, can't take a full-time job because they can't get care for their little ones. I'm talking kind of in the 0 to 5, 0 to kindergarten, just can't get any kind of child care. And that means we got fewer people in the workforce. Our businesses are out there saying, I need people. So what happens in most of the world is that the federal government or the national government, whatever it is, helps put money in to help support childcare the same way they do for public schools, K through 12. And why do they do that? They do that so mamas and daddies can go to work, and they do it because we've come to learn. Those little babies are learning. They're learning, and it's important for them to be where there's stimulation, where there are people who know about teaching in their colors and their numbers, and that all important lesson, how to wait in line until it's your turn, yes, how not to pinch the kid next to you. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here in those early years that you've got to learn to be ready. The United States, I hope you're sitting down here, Jimmy, is 35th out of the 37 richest nations in terms of what we spend on our babies through kindergarten.
Not childcare, but education.
Any investment, education, childcare, any part of it. We're number 35, right? That's where we are. It's holding people back. It's holding mamas back. And so it's bad for mamas and daddies. It's bad for our babies because they're not getting the experiences. If mama feels like she's got to go to work, too often she's forced to put the baby into an unlicensed care facility where they park them in front of a TV set. And look, those are tough choices. Yes, I get this.
Yes.
But it's also bad for our child care workforce. And keep in mind here, this is a predominantly women, overwhelmingly women in the early childhood education and child care. They are principally women of color. And they are paid so poorly that before the pandemic, there was a 30% turnover every year in people who said, I want to work in childcare, but I can make more money at the gas station down the street.
Senator.
And I just can't afford it.
So you're proposing that there be more.
So here's my proposal.
Yes, ma'am.
My proposal is for about half the families in America, we can provide childcare, safe, affordable, high quality. Let's pay these women commensurate with the responsibilities they take on and with the education that they take on for it. We can do that and charge the families $10 a day or less. And for the other half, nobody pays more than 7% of their total income.
So it would be on a sliding
scale.
Yes.
That's exactly right. And the idea is that we build out places that are safe, that are inviting. We pay our teachers. We make these places that are good for babies, good for mamas, good for daddies, good for childcare workers. And ultimately, Jimmy, even for those of us who don't have babies anymore or may never have babies, it's good for all of us. Nobody in this world can build a strong country, a strong community, if we don't invest in our littlest ones.
Senator, thank you. And please keep us up to date about that. And
You
we
bet.
know we don't need to call you to get the vote, but let us know what we can do to
You
support
bet.
that.
And I will say here, I am so blessed. Between Ayanna and Catherine Clark, I have two of the best allies in the House to help get this done. They are in. And Lori Trahan, very good on this issue. So you notice, you get women out there.
You get it.
We talk about issues that,
Let's talk about
that we feel down in our hearts.
Yes, ma'am. And you all got these canceled student debt over the line. Can you give us a quick update? I know it's in litigation.
Yep.
People have walked away with the impression that they're all set. And I want to stay good with the team. So we got about 3 minutes left, and I want to go back.
I'll try to be quick here.
Yes, ma'am.
So the good news is people have already applied right here in Massachusetts. We've got about 380,000 people who are lined up. All the president has to do is push the button and their debt is canceled. And we've got more people who could still apply. As you know, Ayanna Pressley and I have been partners in both getting it done and getting people signed up. In fact, you and I were together doing this. You were helping out on this.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So all ready to go. And then what happened? You're going to be shocked. Republican politicians and extremist courts said, no. They want to put a stop to this. So they've got us tangled in litigation. It's going to go to the United States Supreme Court. There are going to be arguments in the next few weeks. But here's the deal. If they just apply the law, we're done.
Okay.
You can do this. But if they play politics, then we've got a problem. And that's where the worry is right now.
Okay.
So we're all just going to stay right now on this. We know that the law is on our side, and we're going to be pushing. We've had a lot of good people who've written what are called amicus briefs, friends of the court. They've let the court know both how they feel about it legally, but also what it means to people personally. Jimmy, I can't go anywhere to the grocery store, walking down the sidewalk without somebody stopping me and saying what it would mean to them to get their student loan debt canceled. If we get this done, half of all the Latinos in America who owe student loan debt will see their debt completely wiped out. A third of all African Americans will see all of their debt wiped out. The help goes, 90% of the help goes to people making less than $75,000 a year. This is one thing we can do. In fact, it is the biggest thing the president can do on his own to help close the racial wealth gap in America. African Americans been borrowing more money to go to college, borrow more money while they're in school, have a harder time paying off when they get out of school. This is one way to start narrowing the black-white wealth gap here in Boston, here in Massachusetts, and all around the nation. And I am in this fight all the way.
Senator, thank you for that update, and thank you for holding a line on that. I'm going to go back a little bit before we get ready to go. And you talked about trauma, and you talked about peer-to-peer. And what that meant to me was people maybe that have experienced trauma and experienced pain, the loss of a loved one, supporting those others. And you talk about resources and whatnot. Amari Parrish Jeffries, from the Embrace, I had a chance to interview him. You mentioned suicide with the home base program. We were at Dee Dee's Cries Suicide Prevention Summit, and I got a chance to ask him how he felt as a Black man on the spectrum of Tyree Nichols to Tyler Lawrence, who I'm sure you're aware, the 13-year-old that was killed here in Mattapan. Senator, I'm going to ask you to remove a little bit of the remove the senator hat, but as a mom and someone who cares, you're a woman of faith, used to teach Sunday school, worked with children. Where can we count on at your level? Because at the federal level, it's the resources that come into it's legislation. But again, from Tyree to Tyler, at your level, where does I know the pain, I know the concern, the hurt, and the sympathy and empathy and love that you have. And I asked the mayor the same thing. How is that translating from your office to action to impact those that are dealing with this the most?
Now, Jimmy, you're right. It's about action, but it starts with just centering on what this means to these families. Tyree to Tyler should be at home. They should see their mamas. They should be with their families. They should be doing the things that we watch other children do now. And that is the part that just, I will sometimes just look out and see someone and think, how does Tyree's mother feel right now?
Senator.
And that we fail to act, I think, is a stain on this country that continues to grow. But you ask the right question, and that is, so what are we going to do about it? We can't just hurt. We got to use that hurt to make change. And the change has to be in two places. One is we got to make change. We got to do policing reform. We got to do it at the federal level. We got to do it at the state level. We got to do it at the local level. And this is where we're ready on the Democratic side. I'm sorry, I just got to go political on you here because we got this. We are ready to go. And we just can't get it through. The Republicans just say no. And we're just trying to do things like banning chokeholds, just things to just move a little bit in the direction of safety. For me, it's about qualified immunity. It's all the pieces we need to do. And associated with that is guns. We've got to do more on gun safety. We got a little bit done this last year, and that's a good thing. And I'm glad we did, but it's not nearly enough. So part of the action is take every step we can just so one more mother doesn't have to lose her beloved child. But the other half, I so appreciate where you put this, Jimmy. We have to put more resources into helping people deal with trauma. And we need to do this again. We have money at the federal level. We can do this. We have money for roads and bridges. We have money that we are willing to invest in the military. How can it be that we aren't willing to spend even a fraction of that money to open our hearts and help with the healing of those who have faced this trauma head on? There's something bad wrong with a nation that, this fits with the child care, that won't invest in its children and won't take the steps to protect our children better, our beloved children. And that includes our adult children. I'm of an age to recognize, yeah, you may be taller than I am, but you're still my son.
Still my baby. Yeah, that's right.
You bet. But this is what the fight is all about, Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to fight it from inside Washington because you sent me there to do that. But you got to fight it too. And you are doing, I got to tell you, you're doing a great job on this. You keep raising this issue. You center this issue. You bring a community in to talk about this issue. I think of it as inside and outside.
Senator,
you've got to have both to make change.
Senator, I want to stay in good graces with your team. I'm a couple of minutes over. We have Mr. Gary Washburn, who is the president of the Boston Association for the National Association of Black Journalists. Mr. Washburn, good morning to you, sir. When I heard about what was going to take your mic off of mute and you'll be good. I just wanted you and the senator to just cross real quick, because when I mentioned that you were coming, she shook her head definitely about the importance of Black and brown media and community media. Senator, can you talk about, first say, y'all say hello, and then Senator
Hello.
end with.
Hello, how you doing, Senator?
I'm doing good.
Great to
How
meet
you doing?
Great to meet you.
Good. Well, it's great to meet you here, because look, I'm all about the kind of changes we're going to make, that we need to make. We know what they are. We got to get out there and fight for them. It's not going to happen if we can't get the word out, if we can't build community, if we can't build energy. And that's why I love coming and talking to Jimmy, because that's what this is all about. Is Jimmy reaches people. And my job is just to come in when Jimmy tells me, talk about what he asked me to talk about, and try to lift up everything that Jimmy's doing in the community. And I understand that's what you also work on, Mr. Washburn.
Well, yeah, we're doing actually on tonight. We're at Boston University, the Howard Thurman Center. We're doing a panel on religion and how in our community, in the Black community. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, and I think there's a lot of people in Boston who are not pleased with the way they're covered by certain members and certain media sites. They feel ignored. They only feel like the media comes to their communities when something bad happens, when there's a crime, when there's and not when positive things happen. And there's so many positive things, having grown up in a Black community, so many positive things, so many positive people who don't get the recognition they deserve for their contributions to the community. And yes, the time you see the reporters, the news trucks, is when there's something negative has happened, bad, a crime. And so we're here tonight to discuss kind of religion from many sections of religions, Christian, Muslim, the Israelite, and Jewish sides of how they like to be covered. What is the misconceptions of their religion? What do people think, assume?
Brother Washburn, I'm going to just, because we're going to go a little bit deeper, but I got to get the senator to her next, and she's a minute late. But
Yes.
Senator, thank you. I will follow up. Ruby and the whole team, Nico and everyone, thank you so much for making this happen. Senator, thank you for the time and sharing with us and sharing your heart in reference to Tyree, to Tyler. And please keep that resounding, raise Tyler's name on a national level to correlate as well, because these national incidents get so much attention. And many cities and families and individuals and families and moms that you mentioned are dealing with this on a daily basis. And so, Senator, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Strength your way, and go ahead and give Bud the attention he was trying to get while I was Senator, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Keep it up. Keep up the great work, Jimmy.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Washburn.
Thank you. Great meeting you.
Gary, I'm so sorry. I had to, the team.
Oh, no problem. Not at all.
But I thought it was important that you two, I do that anyway when there are multiple guests, but I thought it was important for you two to cross over and just have the senator center Black and brown journalists and Black and brown journalism. So tell us about, first of all, I didn't get a chance to have you say good morning to the audience. Say good morning to the audience, and then we'll talk about the association, your role, and what's going on this evening.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good to be here. Yeah, we have the National Association of Black Journalists is a organization of more than 6,000 members of obviously mostly Black journalists around the country. And I am president of the Boston chapter and have been for several years now. And so what we try to do occasionally is do these panels and do these discussions to hopefully bring the community in, because I think, as you know, Jimmy, there's a misconception of the media, misunderstanding, mistrust. Since I've been young, just people don't trust the media as much as they probably should, and they don't maybe associate Black faces with the media. It's not just the people who do sports reporting or the Stephen A. Smith, or Don Lemons. There's plenty of people on the ground at around here, Globe, Herald, not necessarily, maybe not the Herald as much, but the Globe,
Just a little bit of shade.
yeah, just a little bit, but not as much. But all the local TV stations, all the small newspapers, the community newspapers, the medium, the people who really do the hard work and cover their community. And I think that we need to have these type of discussions to reach out and have community members express their ideas to the media, express their thoughts about the media, but also, Jimmy, tell us some of the good things. Don't only call to complain. Don't only call with your negative feedback. Call when there's something going on. Call when there's something good happening, a community event, something that you're doing for charity, for local baseball team, reviving a basketball court, things that quite honestly happen every day that people don't know about, and then people wired to meet. Why isn't the Globe here? Because the Globe doesn't know. So it's kind of a two, like one hand, shakes the other. It's a situation where both sides have to work together. And I think this is our discussion tonight about religion is more of kind of airing out what the different sides, and they're not arguing necessarily, Jimmy, whose God is right or that's not because we all have different viewpoints on that, but just how these people like to be covered. What are the misconceptions of the Israelites, who have obviously had a lot of publicity lately with the Kyrie Irving deal. I don't know if you have kept up with that.
Yes, the movie and all that they
the movie, exactly. And no one is, and I just felt like no one has talked to any of these folks, Israelites, about how they feel about this.
Or just to get to know them beyond
exactly.
a sensationalized incident. Let me chime in and ask you, because it's so interesting that you're talking about this, because when I realized what this platform was doing, that is the goal, or non-legacy, non-traditional media. I call it hood media, community media, Boston's community-driven platform. And we talk about that often, about how we're portrayed. I was just with Courtney, and I can't remember her last name from, she's new, I believe, at CBS or WBZ. And we had a very real conversation about the very thing that you talked about, how we're portrayed. But she did also say, y'all got to let us know when there's something good going on. Enough of those calls come in, the assignment desk kind of gets the message and like, okay, well, even if it's reluctantly, we'll send somebody out. I want to ask you something from your perspective, and we'll definitely end with highlighting again tonight. I took a media course at UMass, and as a part of that course, we learned that the way the brain is constructed, it likes new, unknown, unexpected information. And so what that correlates for me is that as consumers of media, we tend to go toward the drama, the ratchery, the war, because the brain wants to consume it. It doesn't know the outcome of when the first shot comes and they say, oh, there was a shooting today. So the brain is like, oh, I need more information. Versus good media, we see the person walk across the stage. Oh, we know they're going to get their diploma. There'll be flowers and somebody will hug them. With that awareness, what is our response? Because the senator talked about macro responsibility and a micro individual. Let me ask you, sir, as a Black man that knows the values of clicks, and how many times a story was read and whatnot, what is our responsibility when it comes to consumption in promoting all this negative media?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think that's natural with human nature.
It is. It is.
Like the negative. I get many more negative emails about my stories than positive. Not because I'm always negative or I'm always doing things that, but it's people don't. If you had a good experience, Jimmy, you go to a restaurant and you got great service, you're not as much inclined to go on the Yelp page and write, "Oh, I had a wonderful experience," than if somebody was. But if the waitress or waiter was rude to you,
I'm on Twitter.
It's on.
I'm
it's
on.
If you have a,
I try to be balanced. I do try to. Me as
you
an
have a bad flight,
yes,
a bad flight experience, or your flight was delayed, or you're going to American on Twitter and American Airlines or Delta,
JetBlue. Sorry,
yes, JetBlue. Or if you have a positive experience, you're less inclined. You'll be fired. Oh, that was great. Oh, when I get a chance, I'm gonna write their manager and say how wonderful. And then all of a sudden, 2-3 days later, you're like, man, I'll do that some other time. But the minute you land, Jimmy, you're writing. If something that's human nature. Unfortunately, human nature tells us that we, like you said, we want to know about unfortunately the homicides, the crimes. We want to know the stories about the kids beating up some old man at the T station. But what we have to try to balance that is the stories about like the beauty in our community. And I just think people, unfortunately, on the outside of our community, typecast our community, Mattapan, Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, as it's just nothing but strife there. But if we have to balance that out, and that's an effort. It's an effort to. I remember not growing up, being a younger journalist, and if little Jimmy from I worked in Los Angeles, from X neighborhood, white neighborhood, hit 4 home runs in a Little League game, his mama was calling the paper and saying, my little 13-year-old boy hit 4 home runs and knocked in 10 RBIs in a Little League game. Put that in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens in the Black community, not so much.
That's right. We
have to be our own self-promoters, because no one, like you said, and I hate to sound like that, but like Boston's hasn't been the place where our love and our lives are promoted. If there's an artist in town who's Black, who is not all that popular, if India RE comes to Boston, how are we going to find that out? Like, we have to research.
You have to research.
If Taylor Swift comes, now, if you're Beyonce or you're Bruno Mars, yeah, you're going to hear about that on the, but if it's an artist who's like someone, if it's old school group or, neo soul, Jill Scott, like we have to promote this. We have to use our own media forces, the Facebook, the groups. I tell Black people who move here, I've been here 13 years. You have to know someone who knows the know here in order to survive and make it as a person of color in Boston. If you try to just use the normal media, you have to join Facebook groups. You have to get to know people. And so we have to relay this positive information to the media sources, me, the editors and whatever, so you can get those positive stories out. Because it's not, well, y'all don't want to do the positive, y'all only want to, but of course, Jimmy, because of the negativity,
and we consume it.
Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars is better than Will Smith hugging Chris Rock at the Oscars. Like, that's strife is what we do in today's society. Strife, that's what TMZ is for. You don't look at TMZ for good stuff. You look at TMZ because if somebody's dead, well, let me check TMZ. Oh, it's on TMZ. Like, there's media sources that flourish off that. So what we have to do is kind of balance that with the positive things in our community and make it to where they have to cover it, because they should, and they will. There's media members like me and many others, Black, white, green, whatever, who want to cover some of these events who do not know or only find out afterwards. Oh, last Sunday we had a bake sale. Well, I can't do that. I can't do nothing with it if it's passed. You got to tell me about the next one. You got to give me some advance notice. Like, things that happen, because there's so many beautiful things in our community, as that are overshadowed by some of the negative things. Growing up in the Black community for me was an amazing experience. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world to grow up around my folks and to see the beauty of what a lot of us did. And I have to explain to people that it wasn't just crime and somebody, getting jumped into a gang and no, there was Black excellence, Black beauty. There was, the older people took care of their manicured their lawns and their
and were respected. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the things those are the messages we have to get out there. in order for us to have a more positive media experience, and for our communities to have better reputations, and for people to feel better about the community.
Absolutely. Mr. Washburn, well, so when I stutter, that's a sign of something that you really got my attention. I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of the event that's going on this evening, Thursday, February 23rd, 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. I see a familiar face in Brother Charles, Reverend Robert Gray. I didn't know he was with the Celtics. What else can we look forward to this evening?
Just a good, healthy discussion on, I said, not about whose God is right. It's not going to be more, but more how they're misperceived, how they want to be covered, what their issues are in their coverage of the community. We're just trying to link the media and the community together. And I said, especially Jimmy, with the Kyrie Irving issue, and I thought it was critical to get an Israelite, because I remember those growing up, the guys at the park telling you certain, being, and you were like, oh wow, like, preaching to telling you certain things, and they're kind of an overshadowed. People don't really think about them until recently with all this, and they were misunderstood. And I think some media were afraid to go up to them, thinking they were going to be violence, or just straight up scared of them because they were standing in order. It was sort of like Malcolm X, where all the Muslims were in order, standing in unison like an army. So I wanted to get their point of view about how they're perceived and how they're covered, and kind of erase some misconceptions.
Gary, I thank you so much because seeing this also, I need to, if you can have Korea or someone send me some information, because the J on my thing is nothing to do with journalists, but a lot of people have said, James, your media, you're a
Yes,
community journalist. And so that is our goal. And so let you and I stay in more contact. I'll try to keep you abreast of things that I know, any opportunities to learn some things about journalism. I might tap into that as well, but can't make it this evening, but I'll make sure that I post this. Folks, you can go and register at bostonblackjournalist.wordpress.com. bostonblackjournalist.wordpress.com. Did we miss anything, Gary?
No, I think that's it. Just try to come out tonight. And I said, if you're interested in the organization, you can email me, gwashburn14@gmail with any questions, and hopefully we can continue to work together.
Oh, you and I are definitely going to be in contact. And if Corey, help me pronounce it right, because I messed it up before, and I don't want her to send me a text talk about if you said it wrong.
Coria Holland. Yep.
Coria Holland. Okay, I got it right. Coria, thank you. And Mr. Washburn, you know how we kind of pulled this off in a couple of hours, and so she's good like that. She makes it happen. So thank you so much, sir. We will be in contact. And again, I thought it was important that you and the senator crossover. So
that was a pleasure
to talk about the black and brown, media and whatnot. So thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go pay some bills so we can keep this platform alive and going. And if you're not doing anything Sunday night, I'll send this to Coria. We're having Dart Adams, who I'm sure you know,
sir.
And Sheena Collier from Boston While Black.
Okay, yeah.
We're doing an event called Black Boston Then and Now. And if you know Dart's history and then where Sheena's going, so this is one of those good events, sir, that y'all can come and cover.
Exactly.
I just realized what was going on there. So I'll make sure I get you the information. All right. Thank you so much, Gary. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Absolutely. Everyone, don't forget this evening at 6:30 p.m. You can go and check out this event at BU. And again, the registration, I don't have it ready, but Boston Black Journalist, all one word, WordPress.com to register for that event. We're going to get ready to wrap up. It was definitely a wonderful day talking with our senator and also Mr. Washburn. Please have your system. Kathy, they don't call, they just email. And so she should have your email. I'll spark that. What else? I think that is it for me today. Today's Thursday. So you all will see me again on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Sunday night, as of right now, is not going to be broadcast. We're going to record it, edit it, and then put that back out. It's just sort of a different production. element. Your boy's trying to raise production. But Sunday, don't forget. And I have to say thank you to ASG, who is our sole and lead sponsor for Sunday evening at 8 p.m. We have a DJ. It's going to be an awesome, awesome event on Sunday at 8 p.m. So if you have not got your tickets yet, hey, Shamika, how are you? I just lost my train of thought that quick. How you doing? If you have not got your tickets yet, please make sure you go and get them. You can get the tickets at, do I have this banner? You can, oh no, that's the wrong one. Crap. You can get your tickets. Where is the, I don't think I have it typed. Let me type it real quick. You can get your tickets at jwj.info. But let me put this in here. Jesus Lord. I got a 10 o'clock. JWJ. Here we go. JWJ.info/Black Boston Then Now. This is where you go to register. Registration is closing on Friday, tomorrow at 12 noon. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't email me. Registration closes Friday at noon. No exceptions. Sorry, I got to organize and get together and make this a wonderful experience. So if you don't get a ticket by Friday at noon, we'll see you on the next one. All right. So Friday at noon for tickets, Sunday night at 8 o'clock. We hope to see you there in the building. All right. That's it for me. We're going to get ready to go. Heidi, thank you so much. You have a great weekend as well. All of you have a great weekend. Heidi, I will see you Sunday. Heidi said, I got mine. Heidi, I will see you Sunday. Emails going out to let folks know what time to arrive. Don't arrive before. Because, I try to have everything set up and ready. When y'all come early, you'll be distracting me. Else I'm messing. I will, Shamika. Just verify for me. We've emailed about mission, right? Because there's a little difference in the name. I'm presuming that's you. Just confirm, and then I'll reach out to you and let you know. Kathy, thanks you as well. Sharon Cornelius had a lot of guests this week and wasn't able to say it that much. Good to see you in the room along with others. Tomorrow, the 24th. No. What's today? Tomorrow, February 24th. 2 years, 11 months. I'm telling y'all now. And I used to laugh at Bishop Bragg so much because he would be a crybaby and just all sensitive around his anniversary. I was talking to someone yesterday. When I said almost 3 years, it hit me. So I'm telling y'all now, this next month is going to be interesting. Details about the anniversary and the Red Cup Awards are forthcoming. 2 years, 11 months, Kathy. Yes, ma'am. And for those of you that are charter members, thank you. Love you. Appreciate you. Shamika, love you too, Heidi. Shamika, just let me know if email me and let me know if that was you. If not, I can just inbox you or whatever. But you got the email. But that would be great because I really want to make this a nice experience for everyone. All right, y'all. We will see you on Monday at 9. But for those that are coming, Sunday at 8. And then, the mayor, we moved the mayor. We moved the mayor to first Wednesdays, but the scheduling department didn't switch it. And so they had her slated for March 22nd, not the 1st. And so the mayor will not be with us for the first Wednesday. She's switching back to the 4th Wednesday for March. And then we're going to figure April out. So, and I get it. She's the mayor. It's hard to stick to every first Monday at 9 a.m. I get it. And I tried to shoot back at scheduling and say, well, for the big TV stations and whatnot, they get a standing time. Scheduling wrote me back and was like, no, they don't. We schedule them month to month. I was like, ooh. So just a programming update there. In March, I got to get the email out. We are going to have about 80% women as guests for Women's History Month. All right. I'm out of here for sure now. Talk to you guys Monday at 9 a.m. And for those that are coming, see you Sunday at 8 p.m. Peace, everybody.